Hello, this is NickDoane taking you through the journey of Lunar the Silver Star from a speedrunner's perspective. I'm going to try to both tell you the plot of what's going on in-game and also describe the techniques and time saves of this certain run, the current any percent world record of the speedrun of the game. So, let's get our adventure started. We start off in the village of Berg, where Alex dreams the day away at the statue to the world's bygone savior, the Dragon Master, Dine. And I will also not be talking through the cutscenes of this game, because it's about as good as you would get in this era of gaming.
There you are, Alex. I've been looking all over for you. What are you doing back here again? Listen, I know you really look up to Dragon Master Dine, but this is ridiculous. If Dine were still alive today, I'm sure he'd tell you to stop dreaming about his exciting quest, get off your butt, and set out on your own fantastic adventures. I know you have the courage to be a great hero, just like Dine. So what's holding you back?
That's right, a call to adventure. And here is our buddy Ramus with something to add to that. So Ramus has the idea to go to the nearby dragon cave to get the dragon diamond to sell. Pretty good idea for an adventure, really, but first, Alex has to meet up with his bandmate, housemate, sister Luna to practice their song. You see, there's this festival, and it's like totally super really gonna happen, so he needs to practice this song, so...
Good morning, Alex. You're late again. Did Ramus ever find you? You know, he seemed really anxious to track you down. But then he's probably hatched another harebrained scheme. Well, anyway, let's just practice our song for the festival. La, 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 What happened, Alex? Your harp. You're playing so strange. Is something bothering you? You can tell me. Alex, please tell me what's wrong.
Well, Alex might tell you what's wrong, but unfortunately he's one of those silent protagonists, so Luna just knows that you've been seeking adventure, so she just automatically agrees to come along with you in case you run into trouble or you need a meat shield, but we'll get back to that part. First off, we know we've seen some adventurer's equipment in our dad's basement. He used to adventure with Dine back before he got too famous, you know? But we're gonna need this loot to sell later. You know, we really don't treat our family too well in this game. Let's put that as number 1 on Alex is a bad son counter. So we're off to reunite with Ramus, and now is the first real speedrun tech of the game. Here, the game wants you to just rush off to the dragon cave, but I've played this game before. So, I know to grab the old ring out of Ramus's cabinet before we go, for reasons. We're looking for a 418 to a 420 exit here usually from town, or we've most likely taken too many steps and ruined a battle skip we want later. We want to just make sure we run from battle as soon as we can in these, but there's a couple visual cues to set up the battle skip here. If you line up right at the edge of the mountain for that battle, you know you're on task for the skip later. There are a lot of random battles in this game, so that's one of the major things this speedrun tries to limit. So yeah, you see that? The old ring? It burns the ice block here for some reason. The edge of the first curve there is actually another visual cue that told me I was lined up for the battle skip. Just a secondary one. But on B2 here, and we'll encounter 4 of these during the run, we're gonna run into the first unskippable random encounter. It's true, but we'll get to that later as well. For now, since we lined up our battles so well, we're gonna just get a true random encounter on the spot where we would have gotten that mandatory encounter, so we skip one of the random encounters in essence. That was it right there. Now we've more or less made it to the place where the first split used to be of the speedrun, but once the beginning got so cooked here, there's really no reason to have a split here.
My friends, you are the first adventurers to visit me in a long time. I am Quark, Tetrarch of the Dragon Tribe. You have journeyed far, and now you have arrived at my lair. It's a journey few have survived. Your mission must be urgent.
So we've met Quark, don't call him Fidey. We ask him if he's got diamonds, he's like, diamonds? What diamonds? But then he farts, and then he tells us the diamonds are just his waist, and then he does give us one. But he also gives us a dragon ring, an item we, if we're doing things right, never even interact with once. So, thanks again for the gifts. Also, he told Alex to come back to him with the ring once he's quote-unquote attained the prize of manhood. Direct translation much? Or an allegory? I don't know. I'll leave it up to you. But something here in the game that I love is you come from a sleepy village, a young boy looking to be an adventurer, and you go on your first little side quest with your buddies, and you come back to town with a huge dragon diamond. Maybe you really are a natural adventurer, huh? That's pretty impressive. But when you go to the shop to try to sell it, when you get back to town, they're like, we can't buy this. You need to go somewhere with, like, way more money. And you'll see that's the beginning. This is all the beginning of one long chain that actually works out pretty realistically as an impetus to start and continue the journey as we go with Alex. But here in Berg, if you could picture it, they could have just let you sell it and developed a plot from there, but they didn't. They went a realistic route, and the shopkeeper's like, Alex, that's impressive, but no, you need to go to Maribia. So, if we were to check right now, though, the bridge to the mainland is washed out or busted at any rate. I don't know. It's been years since I've actually checked it. So, remember that, though. Broken bridge count at 1. So we go to the woodcutter's house. Unfortunately, he left his axe in the weird woods. And even more unfortunately, apparently my movement since the White Dragon Cave wasn't perfectly clean, because since I got that battle here, I already know that I'm going to get this battle here, which is an extra encounter I don't usually get that costs about 4 seconds. But I actually remember telling myself that I'm not resetting for something like that anymore during this run. But watch out, 'cause the weird woods is haunted. It's haunted with mutant flies and zombies that we never encounter in this run. Spooky. This first encounter here at the end of the bridge is the second mandatory random encounter in this game. We're actually using it to skip another true random battle, and we skip another one of those inside the safe zone of that cabin there, and those would have been zombie battles. But as we flee the woods, we just get destroyed by the mutant flies. There's nothing we can do about it at this point in the game. Not only are we very low level, but flying enemies always have a huge battle speed advantage. Even when we come back to this part of the game, an hour later in the run, we can be outsped by the flying enemies here on Caldor Isle, which, by the way, is a completely different name of the home island. In the English translation team, just made it up, I guess, instead of translating the original name. They did that to, I think, all of the overworld area names in this game. But, speaking of which, when I first ran the Japanese version, I used to have a save and quit strat here to limit the mutant fly battles, but to make one save time in the US release, it just wouldn't make sense, because it's like 10 seconds longer per reset. 3 or 4 attempts ago, when I was a bit behind, I tried something that I never did before in the step route, and I actually pulled it off. So we brought it into this run. At this point, you'll see me go left and right here. That's to eat up steps in this safe zone. And I actually skip 2 random battles that way. And it ends up saving me all the time that I lost from that extra 4-second encounter, plus, a second or so. But either way, we pop into town one last time to gather supplies and, look at the stuff. Alright, it's just more or less to extort 500 silver from our mom. Put the bad son counter at 2. Thanks, Mom. Ugh. And satisfied, we head back out. Oh, sup, Bramus? We can cross the bridge now to go to the port city to catch a ride to the big city to sell our diamond. Real simple. There is a truly random encounter here, which we luckily don't get. I'll get back to that much later as well. You see me burn a few extra steps right there on the shore, and that's to trigger this encounter. Since the last battle skip was pretty new, I wanted to have a real good idea of exactly where I was, because we're actually going to set up another encounter dodge after we leave this town. In Saith, we go to board the boat, but I guess the captain lost his sea chart to the local old hag. They call her that in some versions. And everyone's just chilling in the bar. But luckily we meet this flashy guy, Nash, and he gives us this water cane for reasons. He's from the city of Vane, real magical place. We'll get back to that later. But right now, as I'm leaving town, I burn steps there too in this safe zone. And that's to set up the skip I mentioned before we got into town. I can now use this string of available steps to walk encounter-free for a long time in this strip of Katrina Zone here. I think it might still be Caldor Isle. But at any rate, when I know I'm in this safe spot is right now. When I walked past the edge of that mountain before getting this encounter, I know that I am set up to get the encounter skip right here. Now, since we're in the safe zone of the old hag's house, I guess we can burn some steps and skip one encounter, but I've never been able to skip both of those encounters here. More or less what happened there was the old hag only deals in either water canes or meat of flying cat pets, so we gave her Nash's water cane. And now we have the sea chart to give back to the captain here, so we should definitely be completely all set to go now. I don't think there's any sort of fetch questery that would possibly come up or anything like that. We got the sea chart and we're good to go, right? Ugh, but he blew it. Alright, check this. The captain really needs the lighthouse to be lit. You see, monsters got in the lighthouse though, so he's just been standing on the dock with the flint waiting for a hero like us to come. Light the lighthouse so he can leave port in the daytime. Fine. But first, we get there and strip Luna and Nash, for reasons, and save and reset. The mutant fly encounters in the lighthouse are so long that it actually saves time to reset here for the time save overall throughout the lighthouse. Also, another fun quirk of resetting is there happens to only be one frame where the game looks for inputs before it loads the attract screen. Luckily, I figured out eventually that I can just hold down a button, but I didn't learn that for a while in the speedrun. We set it up so we can go through the lighthouse without any random encounters. Not one, which makes this the third mandatory random encounter. I'm fairly convinced there were originally supposed to be bosses at all these spots, but for whatever reason, they never happened to put them in. But the mandatory flag for the boss was just replaced with a random battle. I don't know, but that's my theory. And anyway, before we leave now with this expanded step route, we have enough time to pick up the leather clothes and get a full heal, and we're out. So okay, no more excuses. We're going to the big city. We've done an axe fetch quest, a sea chart fetch quest, and a flint lighthouse fetch quest. So no more excuses. We're on our way to the port city. All four of us. Let's go. Wait. What?
I never dreamed we'd say goodbye like this. The world beyond these shores is such a dangerous place. Oh, Alex, you have to come back to me. I'll pray constantly for your safe return. Goodbye, my love.
Now, welcome to Maribia, the place with the best shops, the diamond level cash that we need, and the best town theme out there. Let's start with, well, it's the big city, right? With shopping. What else? We need heals. How many's always going to change depending on what happens in the run, but a safe number with the silver route we're working with here is lucky number 7. From there, it's the main event. We go to Dross's jewelry shop to sell the dragon diamond for 4,000 silver. Amazing. Only he disappeared into the sewer that's connected to the jewelry shop after taking our diamond? Well, at least he missed those 2 off-screen chests, both worth 1,000 silver each. Just like the entire community missed the chests until I discovered them April 1st, 2020. Then my head exploded. So there are secret off-screen chests in this game that aren't in any of the guides, any of the facts, nowhere. These were the most recent 2 found, and as far as anyone knows, they're 1 and 2 of 18 off-screen chests in this game. I won't be getting them all in this run, but if you're interested, I do have a 100% run that does find them all. Firstly though, what we're doing here is we need to unlock Alex's magic ability, because the sewers in JRPGs are dangerous. Obviously, it's a sewer. We got to the magic unlock place, and funnily enough, they played the sound effects backwards, so that was something to listen out for there. With all that said, we've actually got a few extra steps to burn here, so we go all the way to the right and then loop around. Now we are all set to be all the way through, no damage, no encounter skips necessary. We will have one mandatory encounter coming up, but it won't hit us, and then we're good for the first boss fight in the game. We're on a journey to attain the prize of manhood, I guess, from the white dragon. So I figure the best way to impress the white dragon is to kill another dragon, which will become a theme here, but at any rate, welcome to the first boss battle of the game, the water dragon. This battle seems to have the water dragon attack a random party member every round. This is the main reason why we equip Jasmines before this fight. It's next to impossible to make it through this fight without healing once. That said, hopefully, if all goes well, only Alex makes it through this battle, because we want Alex to get full experience from this first boss encounter, and to do that we need our pesky little friends to take a dive. Luckily he does this time around. It really doesn't always work out like that, but see, all the way down to 9 HP, dragon's still blasting away, so I guess it's probably possible to make it through this fight without a Jasmine, but certainly it would be TAS only. And see, even with one heal, we were down to single-digit HP with one character alive 2 different times. But here in Dross's hideout, we grab all of his chests, including 2 further off-screen chests. Then he still tries to bargain a little, but as long as we're careful in the menus, we can get 3,000 silver, each Alex and Ramus netting 1,500. All of that for 1.5k. But on the way out, we know we're also gonna run into a bunch of battles, but there is a plan. There's a really dangerous battle that we absolutely can't get in or the run will end, and it's a certain amount of steps after this battle. If you really memorize it, you can know exactly where you're gonna be no matter what. And as long as you use a Jasmine there, you skip that battle. So there are battle skips in our pocket already, and there will be plenty more battle skips ahead in the run. It's real weird, but yeah, Jasmines are one way that we can skip battles. And look who's waiting for us. Nash wants Alex to come to Vane to study magic. So Alex is down for adventure. He agrees, but before Nash can tell him he's not invited, Ramus leaves. You see, he has 1,500 silver. His adventure is over. And speaking of silver, we're off to do some top-tier speed shopping. We want to sell everything we can except our healing and MP restore items. And the trash can lid? Yes, we want to keep the trash can lid. I know, just go with it. This way we can buy, like, everything. We buy the best weapon for Alex and Nash there, the saber and bow. And here we buy the best armor of every type for Alex, plus an extra gauntlet for, you guessed it, reasons. With our silver count in the low double digits now, we take a lesser-known eastern exit out of Maribia, but first, that cool equip menu between Alex and Nash. Alex needed all his armor and some healing. Nash needed some healing for boss battles later in the game. I bet you thought I was going to say reasons. Just one incarnation of this run back, there was a route that ended with 0 silver at the end of Maribia, but I reworked it for that extra gauntlet, and I get to keep an extra starlight. So this run is different how it uses money, but it's still very tight on money. But with that done, we go to the transfer spring. We're in the Cave of Trials. Because you didn't think we were just gonna get into Vane, right? I mean, think of how hard it was to get into Maribia. So, we're in the Cave of Trials. Luckily, there's a full heal right as we enter. Because, this is one of the charm dungeons that speedrunners need to memorize both forwards and backwards for the run. So, that's fun. And it's long, and it's the worst part of the speedrun. Because right here, we're fighting the RNG monstrosity of the Bronze Dogs. Mostly this fight comes down to the flea in the beginning of battle. I flee up there, which I've had mixed experiences with surviving. I pick off the closest of the Bronze Dogs before it can hit me a second time, which is also really nice. Same goes for the top one. And that's pretty cool, because I feel like my run dies before that stage here when it's going to die. But as you see here, the third Bronze Dog lined up to block the fourth one. So we take that one out, and look at that HP. We're gonna make it, even if he hits us this last round, but he doesn't too, to save a little extra time. And multiple levels up, some treasures, and we're on our way to the higher floors of the Cave of Trials. I have a lot of experience dying in that encounter, and I'd say making it through like that was only about a 10% chance. About 50% of the time you just die 27 minutes into your run and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, anyway, we made it, and the reason we picked up those chests there is this run is so finely tuned, we kind of don't go out of the way of the mandatory path of progression almost anywhere. Look, we take like 2 steps to get that starlight, and that's about as far off the path as we get, because this game is actually really streamlined in the end for a speedrun. It's just also really long when it has such brutal RNG in certain fights and stuff like that. But point is, we're getting to the end of the Cave of Trials here, which is, like I said, the worst part of the speedrun. It wouldn't be so bad if you only had one trial, but it's the Cave of Trials, so we still have to deal with one more boss here. And this one, it's usually a lot safer than the Bronze Dogs fight, because it's just one-on-one, but, you think it's gonna play out that way this time? Let's see, because it's Alex versus the Truffle Troubler. No E in the word troubler. But yeah, anyway, this battle is an epic beatdown, and not in a good way. What you want here is the boss to take 4 rounds to make its way fully over to you. That doesn't happen though. So I cover up and flee, but I know from my prior experience with this battle that if I didn't use a Jasmine here, my flee would have killed me. I'm making it so far, but I've been taking a pounding. I get some distance finally to continue the attack, but I know I still need 3 more full flames after this. This fight outcome is actually something I have trained for though. I know exactly what it takes to survive here, and I give myself just enough, a little tiny bit extra, but enough to make it through the worst case scenario of a Truffle Troubler battle. And we made it. Oh. To Vane, sub 30 is what we're looking for here. Made it to Vane. And don't you even feel like a better adventurer after those boss battles in that cave? Now we grab a few chests throughout town, including this first off-screen chest here. That's number 3. And we have to actually go a little off our mandatory route. Maybe this is as far as we go, but that Cascade Ring pickup is very helpful to the route very soon. Mandatorily, though, we go to ask for a spot in magic school, because we're totally enrolling in magic school. And we have to get permission from the hires up of town. There's absolutely no exceptions. So we just pick up one more chest, and then we go to this northwest spire and meet Mia Ausa. So, yeah, that happened. Not quite sure why that's part of the mandatory quest progression here, but either way, now it's time to meet back up with Nash. Since this is a mid-90s RPG, if not early 90s, we have to sit and wait here as Nash walks up before we can move. But here we go, we're on our way. And of course, we grab this music box for reasons, and we meet this dude.
Welcome to the Magic Guild of Vane, Alex of Berg. I'm Galleon, Premier of the Guild. My apprentice Nash speaks well of you. He says you helped him a great deal during his journey. You seem to be quite resourceful, Alex. Perhaps you can help me.
Ugh. Anyone else just feel that? Doesn't seem like the kind of guy you'd want to let see you take their music box. Anyway, so Nash is actually not mandatory here. You can choose not to take Nash on this side quest, but I don't know why you ever would. It's just a free extra character for a boss fight. On our way out of Vane, we get another full heal, and right now I'm just kind of hoping, I'm really hoping that I happen to be on a step route here that I know I can get sometimes, and it looks like, yeah, made it all the way to this town, Nanza. We go out of our way early here to get that item because we could get it later. But just like we could get this town later, it saves time to do it now. We get good money for that item that we'll need, but we seem to still be on that good step route. We're making it all the way between Vane and Lon with no encounters. That's amazing. So here in Lon, we've actually been tasked to go to the nearby island and take out a dragon master that's there by that galleon guy we just met. So we're recruiting another party member too, because we don't know what we're running into there, and it could be a dragon master. So that's Jess Dale Kirk. She's the healer of the group. Jess is a bit hot-headed. She literally physically assaulted that man to steal his boat. That's 'cause she needs to blow off some steam. She had a fight with her boyfriend last night, I think she said. And that's the whole reason why she came to just fight a Dragon Master, you know? Sometimes you just gotta go fight a Dragon Master. And walk through walls? Yeah, guess they're trying to sell some strategy guides for that walk through walls part of this, huh? Well, anyway, here's the boss. So before then, we turn Nash and Jess's AI on, because that lets them get an extra attack in during battle. And we equip Jess with those extra gauntlets and trash can lids, because this battle is, it's rough. Since the RNG in this battle is a run killer, I always start the same way. It might not be the best way to make it through here, but it's pretty consistent with not dying the first round. And luckily, this battle's first round went really well, so we end the round with full party HP. So we can take a little bit more of an aggressive stance here in the second round. Everyone's out for the attack, and we can be sure that since we're all so close, that the damage will spread throughout the party and we can tank that round, no problem. Any rounds where we can get Jess to attack extra instead of healing are worth gold, because at this point Jess is actually hitting harder than Alex. Ideally, I'd be focusing on one and taking them out, but the party damage spread out so equally, it didn't even end up being a huge deal in this fight just to fight him this way. I could have saved a little time in this battle, but it didn't kill my run. That's the most important thing, because it certainly can. And it would be nice if Jess died so Alex and Nash could get all the experience, but any run that makes it through that fight is a good run in my book. We kick the Dragon Master out. Does that mean we own this island now? And take some extra steps, de-equip Jess for the most part, and we use this treasure we got here, the Wind Essence, to warp out of a dungeon. One of the best treasures in the game you can get for sure. Man, good thing Dragon Master Zoc didn't take our only boat on the island to escape, huh? Anyway, we say bye to Jess for now, and at this point in the step route, we've been walking so long and we've had boss encounters, I don't really know where I am. And that's why I use Little Litany here, because that, like Jasmine, skips ahead in the random battle table. But this is the fight I was trying to avoid. Luckily, it went a little faster than it usually does, but see how deadly it can be? We make it through though, and we're already out of the area where we can get that encounter, so we're gonna survive. We actually got all of our HP back at that HP shrine. It's pretty optional, but you walk right past it, and I was kind of trying to pull out all the stops here. Throwing in another battle skip, sure, why not? And, you know, I muddled through and only got 2 encounters there. That's not bad at all for the walk back to Vane. Now, we weren't beaten up much, but we were a little, so thank you, old man, for that heal as we come into town. And the reason I decided not to route Nash out of that side quest is even if we didn't take him, we still need to walk all this way to Galleon anyway, to drop him off, as it were, before we can go into the main anteroom here. And here we are, the heroes. We helped out the city. There's Mia. We could have met her for the first time here instead of that trip to the Spire earlier. And here's Lemia. She's the leader of Vane, here to give us our prize, of course, of going to jail? Okay. So if you're ever in jail and locked up tight, just take 2 or 3 steps right. Don't forget that, folks. Well, Nal got Mia, and Mia thinks sending me to jail for helping was kinda weird. And I'd have to agree, so we're off on a side quest with her. We need to go to that spire we met her in for solid reasons a few minutes ago, and go all the way to the top this time, getting the Mirror of Althena for reasons, big ones. And since this hasn't been the gentlest of early games, I elect to take the herb from this chest here. Oh yeah, and for some reason the dragon ring breaks the seal on the tower now, even though we were wearing it when we were first here too, but anyways. Too bad for me that I don't use a save and quit here anymore, because that strat was so easy. I could skate with no random battles. But anyway, there was a pretty good start to this trip through here. No encounters to 3rd floor, I think, but when we did get an encounter, it's pretty much the worst one here. That gave me a clue of where I was on the step route. This gave me a better clue. I'm pretty sure my next battle is a free insta-run, and this calm herb, very key. And here it is, that insta-run battle. So now I actually know where I am on this step route, and I should be able to skip this next battle. But the classic, I took 1 extra step too many, and I get that battle. Oh well. This isn't one of the super important step routes, like we'll be hitting later. We made it out anyway, so continuing on. A lot of other runners didn't get all the chests in this room, but I do, because they're all either worth money or just really good, you know? They're not too many steps either. I think we sell both of them for money in the route now, but we're on a I'd say above average step route here. We got 1 extra encounter, but there have been long stretches of the speedrun where this tower was like, will I even survive? I don't know. 50-50. So, not too bad. Here's another insta-run battle too. And all the treasures we got in here, of course, were super strategic. And we'll never get extra treasures until later when we screw up. Now we've finished that part of the side quest, and it's time to decide, am I going to go to the old man for a full heal, or nope, we're going straight to the Cave of Trials here, saving a ton of steps, but I don't know. We going to be strong enough for this next part? We'll have to find out. With all these little variables, we are now deep in I don't know where the next encounter will be territory, but at least we're in kind of a low-level area back in this Cave of Trials, so most of our fleas are pretty quick. But, you know, this time we're going backwards, so now I think is a good time to talk about an important mechanic in this game. It's very relevant in dungeons like this, and I call it wall bumping. It's used when you direct your character's next movement to a non-flat wall. Usually you'll just continue your progress in a close cardinal direction to where you're pointed. So you can not completely change your button presses on every wall if you work things out right. Like here, I'm only going left. Because, you see, I bump around all these walls. Now, after a lot of experience with random encounters and whatnot in this game, I realized wall bumping might allow me to normalize my movement in certain areas a lot better, and it's just going to happen in certain dungeon screens because of how close the walls are. But every bump adds a double step to your step route, because it's like the game is trying to go through the wall and then taking the step after you bump, so it is giving you 2 steps for every bump. It's registering both steps even though you don't take them both, so use it sparingly. and only when you absolutely have to or when you want to really normalize movement. Because it does cost steps, which means more random battles. That said, we're done with the Cave of Trials. We're through now, and here is good guy Nash to help out again. The cutscene there is a good tell that they're off-screen chests too, so we pick up number 5 and 6 here, I think it's number 5 and 6. In the old days of my step route here, I used to get no encounters, but that has not been happening lately. And that happened this time. So that's always a huge time save, and it really gets me in a good mood going into this next boss fight and makes me think that things are going to start working out in this run. And clearly something's about to go down here, so we strip Mia and then give her all the starlights pretty much. We give some heals, and what is this Mirror of Althena gonna show us? Wouldn't you know it? Something was up. And it wasn't Lemia, it was Zenobia. Well, at least Galleon's here to save us from... Galleon? Dude? Well, it looks like we're on our own against 2 Pipers. This battle can go really well, or like in this run, fairly okay. Alex ends up getting hit the maximum amount of times during that first round and the second round. But luckily in this turn, we get a great heal roll from Nash. So we're still in it, rolling with an herb as well on Nash, so we're going to be good to go. This would be another good place for a party member to not get a share of the experience at the end of battle. We'd like Nash to be the one to take a fall here, but it's pretty complicated to work that out. It doesn't usually work in battle. But another thing with this battle too is that Pipers are the first of 6 bosses that have different stat blocks between the Japanese and US releases. And these ones are stronger than the original version, so making it through any way we can, always good. So Galleon, you must be pretty surprised that we got, like, almost murdered, huh? Man, and you want to go see this dragon that I know where they are, huh? Alright. You want to meet at Mel's. Who's Mel? Alright. Well, solid, bro. Let's team up. Yeah, I like that idea. So we're back off to Maribia again. This time, alone. This time, to catch a boat back to Caldor Isle. What an adventure. And we're gonna take another new buddy to meet Quark. Plus, maybe we've attained the prize of manhood by now. I mean, that whole thing was like real vague, but might as well give it a try, right? Back here in Maribia though, it's time. Crit shopping time. I need to sell everything except a few exact healing items, a gauntlet, and a defense boost item. Everything else has gotta go. But the main reason I'm here is to buy 3 wind essences and an amulet. This amulet supposedly decreases the encounter rate, but it doesn't work in a lot of places, and in the places it does work, it barely works. Still, I did all my routing with it, plus it's only 100 silver, so it's coming with us. The wind essences you may have noticed earlier in the island cave are for an instant warp out of the majority of dungeons. The overkill 10k silver we got there was to pick up a gang of another familiar item we went out of our way to get earlier, but I'll leave that as a surprise. For now, we're gonna meet the hero, Mel de Alkirk. And Jess? That's right. Not only is one of the former four heroes here in Maribia, he's Jess's dad. Time to go to sleep.
Alex! Alex!
Well, speaking of not weird things, Nala and Alex just had the same super creepy dream about Luna being in trouble. So it's a good thing we're on our way back to Caldor Isle. First, though, we walk all the way through Mel's house again. Mel, apparently, we can consider another level of rich, because not only does he have a courtroom in his house for some reason. Why a courtroom? But his house is so big it's like another mini dungeon we need to memorize forwards and backwards. Just another tiny bit of the vast amount of memorization that went into a run like this. Right now, though, it's time to go to the boat to meet Galleon. It's time to hit the seas once again. As soon as we hit the docks in Saith, it's time to menu. We need Alex prepared for the upcoming boss fight. He needs to lose his lowest defense piece of armor so the gauntlet is off, and with that, we can equip everything he needs, not including his harp either, unfortunately. But we also take Galleon's armor, and we turn off Alex's oh yeah, that's right. We never turn Alex's AI on anymore. Sweet. Now, back to the overworld. We don't want to see the bee encounter here. The bees are actually faster than Alex, even still at this point in the game. In theory here, I could figure out the step route and cast Little Litany before all these encounters, but doing that actually takes longer than an insta-run takes. So there are some battles in this game that I take on purpose in like deep thought out step routes, but it's on purpose because insta-runs are faster than battle skips. Yeah, just the minutia, whatever. Anyway, we've made it all the way back to the White Dragon's Cave. We have a level 99 party member with us. He's one of the former four heroes. If we weren't an adventurer before, we are now. I feel like, guys, maybe we did attain the prize of manhood, you know? Isn't the prize of manhood the friends we meet along the way? I think he could buy it, you know? Maybe we're not back too soon. But through this little section here with Galleon, I got a pretty decently low amount of encounters. If I was playing the Japanese run, I'd need exactly, I think, 7 encounters on the way here, because Galleon, obviously, as a level 99, has some one-hit kill moves, and in the Japanese version, you can only get 1 level up per experience event. So Alex has like 7 extra levels to gain in that version, but in this version, I present to you storyline, voice acting, and some of the best cutscene visuals available on Sega CD.
So, Alex, you've returned. And this time you've brought another friend with you. Wait, Galleon, is that you? I haven't seen you since we lost Dime.
Yes, dear Quark. And if not for you, he would still be alive. A part of me died that black day. But now, dear friend, things are changing again. I'll soon rule the world. But first, you have to die!
Galleon, what are you doing?
Now now that that's taken care of, only the goddess Althena stands in my way. Soon, the whole world will be mine!
Listen carefully, young Alex. You must become a Dragon Master now. You see, once I am gone, the goddess will be vulnerable to attack from Galleon. Then only a Dragon Master can save her. Alex, you must become that hero.
Now that sort of thing is what the creators of this game were talking about when they said they were setting out to differentiate this from other JRPGs. A deeply gripping storyline where you really feel for the characters and feel the twists and turns. Like Galleon was evil? No way! But poor Quark. He was already all old looking and stuff. Oh, poor guy. So we get the white dragon's wings. Now we can warp between towns instantly, but they're not activated yet? That seems strangely situational. Also, even on the verge of death, I guess Quark made a point to take back the dragon ring, because we don't have it anymore. Guess that means we've attained the prize of manhood. Either way, there's no going back now. We're not just a harp-playing village boy dreaming of adventure anymore. We've actually been chosen by the dragons to save the goddess of the world from evil that we helped gain the upper hand just now. And our village has been conquered, our family and friends enslaved, and now Zenobia has Luna, and Alex fights a 6-on-1 battle. First flee here sets the tone for the entire fight. Luckily, I flee all the way to the corner, but sometimes enemy randomness still dooms you at that point. An interesting quirk with the Dragon Bolt's animation is that it doesn't need to loop 3 times before it shoots lightning. If Alex is close to the top of the screen, it can trigger in only 2 loops. It seems the trigger for the lightning bolts is actually the head of the dragon going all the way off screen. So I ended up getting really lucky here, because not only did only one gargoyle get to attack me, only one piper did too. Usually I'd get attacked by 2 pipers, so this saves me a calm herb, which I mentioned would be pretty boss in this run, so wait for that. I found with a bit of careful routing, I could manage this fight with a starlight and a silverlight instead of 2 silverlights, so that is good for item management as well, but I gotta give it up to that lucky placement and the turn order here, where I went before the piper that was going to attack me. Almost everything died that turn, just one attack and it's over. Really good fight. So even after turning back every one of Zenobia's henchmen, she still kidnaps Luna and teleports away. Retroactive letting Zenobia teleport away while doing nothing count is now at 2, after she got away in the Star Chamber in vain. Speaking of teleporting though, suddenly, by coincidence, the White Dragon's wings are working now. So we can teleport. First stop... Wait, what are we doing exactly? Well, this is the searching for friends part of the game, as it were. Alex knows he's up against a very powerful force in Galleon. He's the chosen one now, though, on the path to becoming the world's Dragon Master. Not only will he have to travel the world, collecting the blessings of all the 4 dragons in the form of the dragon equipment. After all of it, he has to save the world from one of the 4 heroes, Dyne's closest friend. With something like this in front of him, he knows he can't do it alone. But he's just a simple boy from Berg who only recently ventured out of his hometown. In this short time out here, though, he came across some true warriors. We start here with Jess. Probably the least useful of our allies, honestly, in the end, but everyone totally helps in their own way. And I'm not being sarcastic about that either. Plus, Jess's dad, another one of the 4 heroes, Mel de Alkirk, was turned to stone by Zenobia. so Jess has reasons to fight on her own. Speaking of Zenobia and reasons to fight, let's go over her motivations real quick. Zenobia is a powerful sorceress working with Galleon. She's a leader of the people called the Vile Tribe. They live on a sealed-off portion of the world, a desolate wasteland called the Frontier. The goddess Althena banished the tribe to that place long ago as a punishment, but now, since Galleon wants to take over the world and subjugate its goddess, she teams with Galleon as a means to free her people and return them to the blue skies and green grasses of Lunar once again. So that's Zenobia for you. But now we're dealing with both Nash and Mia, a twofer here in Vane. Nash's motivations are pretty guilty ones. He feels like he was actually a part of the bad guys since he was Galleon's understudy. And Mia's are a bit more of like vengeance. Her mother was brainwashed, imprisoned in her own jail, and replaced by Zenobia, who took control of the entire city for so long. Her mother's mind is still addled badly. She may never fully recover. Mia would come even if we asked her not to. And for the fifth member, I bet you thought it was going to be Ramus, but no, it's a new face here. But it just so happens the warrior controlling the Nanza barrier that we have to cross is Jess's boyfriend. No way! With Jess about to trek across the planet for a while, why wouldn't Kyle agree to come with us? Any good boyfriend would. And what an ally. There's a reason in the Japanese version he's named Killy. So we grab one last chest, and then what I incorrectly but consistently call the Nanza barrier skip. Because it's not really a skip per se. It's kind of just a dungeon-wide random encounter manipulation. You see, in this dungeon, which is huge by the way, we can encounter some bipedal armadillo-looking enemies called Count Antulas? Alright. So yeah, Count Antulas have a spell that can paralyze our whole party, costing several rounds per battle. So I don't ever want to have to encounter them here. That's why one of the first reroutes I did in this run was to walk with 0 encounters in this dungeon. And walking in this section is kind of a muscle memory thing. For as fast as Alex walks and the walls in here being really tight, there are places you're forced to wall bump and you really need to know exactly where you are. Anyway, you skip that one battle there, and there is a long stretch of walking with 0 encounters here. Like I said though, really tight walls, really long dungeon, you're gonna have to wall bump sometimes, so you really have to have practice here, because it's so easy to get an extra half dozen steps that you didn't even realize you took with all the wall bumping you end up doing. And here, we can run into a safety fight that'll tell us we're off pace, but luckily, we don't have to deal with it. There is a second save and quit here. I was a little annoyed at first having a double reset in this dungeon. Since each one costs about 35 seconds, I always try to limit them, but with the encounters that were in here taking so much time, it was just too inconsistent not to do it. But luckily, after a lot of developments on the next section of the run, I realized I could use the second reset and exact movement to manipulate the giant root drop a bit later, which I would have had to reset for normally anyway. Something I learned about this early walk to the Little Litany is if you walk too early and miss bumping into that NPC, you screw up the battle skip. It's a little more precise than the first one, but with just the right movement and wall bumping ratio and bumping into the NPC, just that one Little Litany will carry you through all the rest of the Nanza barrier with 0 encounters. That said though, I've actually just set up the step route that takes me through the next 3 towns and 2 dungeons. This step route becomes a bit variable at the end too, which is pretty cool because sometimes you need it to, but we'll get back to that later. From the Nanza barrier though, through the rest of the game, this run is sort of broken up into a real-time segmented run of sorts. I use resets and then testing and memorization of encounter patterns to use battle skips to get past as many random encounters as I can. And There was a reset around 17 minutes in. This next one wasn't even for 45 more minutes. So from now on, it's going to be a lot less than 45 minutes in between resets. One more battle skip gets us all the way to the second town out here, Reza. Reza's the town of, yeah, thieves. Our dragon wings are instantly stolen as soon as we get into town. That's a huge blow. We need them back for sure, but first, we need this off-screen chest. One of two here in Reza. We track the thief to the Thieves' Bazaar in the basement of the bar somehow, but can't get in unless we pick the lock of the chest in the bar. And since we can't pick the lock, Kyle just attacks it repeatedly with his sword until it opens. Now we're certified thieves and can access the Thieves' Bazaar. Whatever, I'll take it. Now, onward to the Thieves' Bazaar, aka the most important shop in the entire speedrun. Firstly, we confront the guy who stole the wings and retrieves them. Check this, supposedly he was hypnotized to do this by Zenobia. You're right. We have to make sure to talk to that blonde NPC, and then grab the treasure, of course. And then we make our way over to the fur shop here where we get the rain cloud, and then like every single cascade ring that he can give us. Cascade rings are very, very important in this run, but also, in this latest reroute, we have enough money to get an extra piece of armor for Kyle. But if you notice there, I screwed up my step route. I took probably like 12 to 16 extra steps on the counter. I got hung up there. But now we get to meet Lake, an adventurer. He's actually the guy we walked past in the Weird Woods earlier. He tells us that the Red Dragon Cave is south, but we're gonna need a flying machine to get there. So, can't help us there, right? Now let's head to Illic to get a flying machine. First stop is this dude's house. We grab his treasure, obviously, and ask him about his stolen property we just bought from the Thieves' Bazaar. He tells us it's the key to entering the Red Dragon Cave, and he doesn't seem to want it back, so lucky for us. Now we ask this other guy to make us a flying machine, and he's like, totally on it. I just need this giant root. And then I'm like, that's crazy, because my step route is set up perfectly to get a giant root drop my next fight. Then I warp to the same town I'm already in, and then exit to the desert. Well, I figured out eventually through brute forcing it that by fighting this battle, exactly like this, not only can I give Alex all the experience from the fight, but I can also keep the battle short, and the drop isn't random anymore. I'm gonna get the giant root every time from this first attempt. I bet the any % runners of this game wish they could do that. I had to fight over 40 of them on my any % run before the drop. And there it was, giant root received. Now we head back to the totally brilliant and trustworthy dude that said that he'd make a flying machine for us. You know, the dude with like a wheel on his house. And, yeah, we're off to the skies. I feel good about this plan. You're kidding me. That plan didn't work? Well, I hope Reza doesn't mind us leaving a gigantic, deflated blimp in the middle of their city. Either way, I mean, we're out, so hopefully, you know? So, we're off to the next city. I'm not entirely sure why. To be sure, the progression flags of this part of the game are pretty weird. That's why we've been talking to a lot of NPCs lately, because if you don't, you can't progress. Like here in this bridge in Marriott. Broken bridge count now at 2. Ooh, and now we get to do a cool little mini fetch quest. We need to regather all our party members, or another way to think about this is we have a chance to reorder our party without going into that terribly designed party order menu. If we didn't talk to certain people in a certain order earlier, this blue-haired NPC at the bar wouldn't be here, and he wouldn't be able to tell us about the most helpful animal vehicle since the Lunar whale. That's right. Once we've got all our stuff together, next stop is to ride on the back of a mythical sea beast. Amazing. What could possibly lie ahead? Now though, with the group back together, the first equip screen in a long time. It's to make sure Alex is fully equipped to gear up Kyle and to distribute the absolute cascade of cascade rings we have in our bag between everyone else. Right now, me is just holding them for endgame, but our item box was jammed, so it was time to do that giant menu there for sure. Next, off to Reza. As I exit town, I use a little litany to maybe skip a battle there with 6 wyverns. Sometimes you get the battle, sometimes you don't, but that battle takes a long time if you get it, so I'd rather be safe than sorry there. And now, with a beautiful song played, the creature rises. It's a giant sea turtle. Yeah. And since we're right here, we might as well go to the clairvoyant of the world, Damon's Keep. And I realized here that I could totally expand this step route. I didn't used to have a step route at this part of Damon's Keep for some reason. The battles were pretty quick, but I saved like 45 seconds a minute just by working this part out. The only reason this tower takes a while is because we have to go down to the lower floor's farthest corner in order to get the key that gets us into the top floor's farthest corner room. Classic 90s dungeon design. Now, here's that first intentional battle where it would have been an instant run, but I didn't hit run, so I had to go through every character's menu, costing 2-3 seconds. Not ideal. That said though, no big deal. A second here or there and we're only one more skip away from being done with the encounter skips here already. It's a big screen. It's got 2 levels. It takes a while. So traditionally I would see no encounters here, but I have gotten encounters here. It's not like the second floor has 0 encounters, but on this step route, it does. This walk might actually be a good time to mention how there are no skips, or wrong warps, or real bypasses anywhere in this run. Sure, we got the old ring before we went to White Dragon Cave the first time, but there's no way to squeeze past any boss encounter area, or glitch down a floor in the dungeon, or clip a tile and walk out of bounds in any map. There's nothing like that in this game. Every single progression flag is flipped through this run, and that's for a good reason, because we can't find any ways around anything. Trust me, it's been tried, but no boss skips, no instant kills, nothing really helpful glitch-wise or exploit-wise in the whole game. That's why I think it's one of those games with the highest skill level to play so fast. I mean, you can't even crit in battle. You can't res a character that dies in battle. With all the RNG we encounter, when you think about it, it's still pretty fair in the end as long as you're good at playing the title. So in Damon's tower, there are 3 off-screen chests. In my route, I mean to miss the first one on the second floor, but I didn't mean to miss the one that I just walked by on the entry to the library. That was a bit of a mistake. I actually wasn't supposed to pick up the one on the left there, but I did because I was a little nervous about endgame money, and that's also the reason that I picked up that ice cane. I ended up not needing extra money in the end, but at any rate, just to explain it. So here's Damon. He tells us that Zenobia is going to be in Reza soon. You see, the scoop is the goddess has been reincarnated as a human girl. No one knows where she is or what she looks like, but they know she has an amazing singing voice. So Zenobia and Galleon are systematically kidnapping the world's greatest singers in order to find the goddess. To be honest, I like the Dragon Master part of the storyline a little better now, so instead of going to Reza, let's just continue on to the Red Dragon Cave, okay? I mean, she'll probably still be there in Reza if we just pop into the Red Dragon Cave real quick. I mean, I think it's something totally worth rolling the dice on. Well, in the world map here, I elected to normalize movement. I just hold left and wall bump the whole way until I hold up and repeat it until we make it to the Red Dragon Cave. I play consistent, so I stay consistent. Thank you, Old Guy's Stolen Property, gets us across here. And it's very important in the Red Dragon Cave to have a lot of practice again. It's one of those dungeons where the walls are kind of closing in on you. And this is truthfully one of the parts of the step route that I've screwed up the most. It's just, this is one of the hardest dungeons to completely normalize your movement in. And every bump I take has to be like somewhat known of a quantity because it's a step route. I have to know where I am to get the battle skips to hit at the right spot. So normalizing here as much as possible was the plan, but you know, every run is going to be different, so practice makes perfect in the Red Dragon Cave. And this is the 4th of the 4 mandatory random encounters in the game. It's been a while since we fought a boss, right? Well, I think this place here demonstrates my theory best of all, that all the mandatory random encounters left in the game were originally planned on being boss fights, but were scrapped for some reason. We're down to meet the 2nd of the dragons on our quest. I'm so excited to meet the spirit of the red dragon, because the red dragon is dead? For reasons, yeah? We got the red dragon shield at any rate. Almost 100% certain it's never directly explained why the red dragon is dead, but at least for now we have 2 pieces of the dragon equipment. Okay, now that we're heading out, I feel like there was something we forgot. I'm not sure. Somewhere we're supposed to go, maybe? Oh, Reza. Yeah. Hope everything in Reza is still okay. I mean, we just waited on Damon's info like a long time. Oh boy. Now would be a prime time to have a dash button in the game. But we're doing our best. Uh-oh. And there she goes again. Zenobia just kidnapped another girl in front of us. Our plan to find her here went perfectly, and yet we just letting Zenobia just teleport away without doing anything. Count to 3. Well, at least the bridge in Murriot has been fixed, so that's one thing, I guess. This is the very section where I drop step count most often in this game. I don't know, maybe second most? But this is where all that wall bumping and everything from the earlier segment really hits right or misses for you in the run. And you know, if we're in Lighton, it's going well so far. So we meet up with this lady who unseals the entryway to the Blue Dragon Cave, because Alex has green eyes, I guess. And then we warp out of town to save some extra steps, but oh no! I saved too many steps. So since that Red Dragon Cave and the wall bumps to Lighton are so exact, I got this encounter here. At first, I was really panicked. I thought I had lost the step route, but then I realized, oh wow, no. I'm actually just ahead on step route. This is just an extra encounter that I would have usually never seen. So I take a deep breath, adjust step route a little, and continue and hope it works out. The next thing we're doing is popping into the town of Tamer to get it as a warp point for later in the run. Warp back to Lighton, and even though it doesn't look like it, you can actually just walk straight up from the exit of Lighton, and as soon as we get to the shore, that's when we're gonna find out we made it. Alright, so that was a genuine mistake, costing about 30 seconds, getting that extra battle outside of Lighton, but I didn't lose step route. My party is now at full HP, and we're set up to walk with almost no encounters all the way up to the end of this. The Blue Dragon Cave seemed to always have an element of change in it across the different iterations of the speedrun. Sometimes I would pick up the Sage's Clothes directly to the left of the entryway. Sometimes I would grab that Starlight. It's only a few steps out of the way. But for the first time ever this run, I decided to walk extra to the right here to grab that Holy Flute. It does take a good amount of extra steps, a healthy amount, let's say, but the full party HP heals are just so clutch towards the end of the speedrun. Holy Shield, must have. You know, maybe some versions of this speedrun wouldn't get it, but definitely I've gotten it every time. Insta run, and we are in the boss room now, with only one battle that was quicker than doing a battle skip for it. Here's another big menu. First, we use a Starlight on Alex, so he's good to go in the boss fight without us having to burn a bunch of steps on the way in to get to an MP shrine outside of the Blue Dragon Cave. We also equip Alex and Jess, put an emergency heal on Kyle, and go into battle. I should have also used the stat boost items we had on Kyle before this battle, but I forgot to. Here comes our first full party boss battle. Alex has enough MP now to cast both of his dragon attack spells in this fight. Kyle, of course, is a berserker. Mia, of course, is a debuff mage. And in what will become a trend in boss fights going forward, to start off the fight, both Jess and Nash use a Cascade Ring on the party. Each Cascade Ring raises the entire party's attack stat by 16 for each member, and since you do a lot of physical attacks throughout bosses, I figured it made sense to route a lot of Cascade Rings in for boss fights. Now I got hit with Brainiac's full party magic the first round. That means Kyle is going to be in trouble round 2. So instead of just spamming D-Protect, I diverted Mia to heal Kyle. Ends up being a good play, because as long as we stay to the plan and stay somewhat healed, this fight should be easy from here. Ideally, we'd at least get to round 3 before needing to pull Mia off her healing, but we get what we get sometimes, you know? here again, we get hit with another full party magic attack. You can totally skate with getting none cast on you in this fight, but, you know, 2 still isn't losing too much time. And just like that, the first real full party boss of the game is down. If you'd noticed, Mia learned Flame Bomb, which gives her a chance of learning the spell we need her, kinda, to learn here. Oh hey, what's up, dead? Blue Dragon too? What? So let's see, does Mia get a spell? No, not even a level up. And what's this? Zenobia appears, commands Nash to steal the helmet, and he does? Then we... Nope. I saw that next part coming, at least. Letting Zenobia get away without doing anything. Count is 4? Nice. So, start your clocks now. Longtime party member has seemingly betrayed the party. For the bad guys under mysterious circumstances, will he be back? Will he be replaced with Ramus? So what now? We go to the furthest town we can get to, and hey, look, a side quest. Lake wants to go help us get a flying machine. Because for some reason he knows a lot about being a Dragon Master, and we're gonna need one. And this here is Tempest and Fresca. And guess what? Tempest wants to fight. Real fun. Might as well, right? So we just met Tempest and Fresca. They're warriors from the northern plains who are, I don't know, here to pick a fight, I guess. Cool. I mean, that seems fun, I guess. 2 extra battles here. Not quite perfect, but at least they are insta-runs. And what we're doing here with Lake, the beret-wearing nomadic warrior, is beyond just straight up stealing his sword right away and equipping it to Alex. We're saved and quitting. Because we're about to go through the pipiest, maziest, loopiest, multi-flooriest, hardest to even make sense of in your notes because of how much it loops back on itself dungeon. So Lake's local friend Might can make Alex a flying ship to get him to the goddess's tower to help him in his quest to become Dragon Master. That sure is helpful. I mean, we didn't have any plans for that part. I guess we were just gonna have to try to clamber up the side of her mountain or something. Almost all of these pipes we're walking by, the holes we're seeing as it were, that we're not going down, would drop you straight out of this dungeon. So it's a real bad place to lose your step. But it's also a place, especially right there. That's where I learned about wall bumping, more or less. Because I realized instead of just trying to switch to up at the last step there, I could just hold up that whole screen until I'm past that hole. And the characters just move up as soon as it's available. I don't have to change direction at all. So that was actually, I remember realizing what wall bumping was the first time that happened to me, a few runs deep in this category. And here's Might. So we have to be sure to initiate conversation with Might twice before leaving. because over the attempts, I think 2 different runs have died there from only talking to Mite once before leaving. As we would find out upon leaving here, we'd have to walk the whole tower again, so run instantly dead. But one more insta run here, and that's it. Our side quest with Lake was a glorious 3 minutes and 45 seconds long, including a 35-second save and quit for those keeping track. They'll tell stories about those 3 minutes for ages, though, I'm sure. That said, once we've officially side quested, it's time to bring our group back together. And I do mean bring the whole group back together. Nash comes crawling back, asking to be forgiven. He says he was a secret double agent and only stole the helmet to trick Zenobia into showing him the way to her hideout. And to prove it, he gives us back the helmet. For those still counting, that's right. It's been under 5 minutes since he left the party. Of course, we welcome him back. Man, under 5 minutes, I did not think it would ever look like that. That kind of stuff. Don't think it doesn't amaze even me. That took me a long time, that little no Nash part of this game. I could really sit and think about his betrayal for a while when I was a kid. Look at that. 2 of the weirdest placed off-screen chests in the game, in the middle of this random bypass between Lighten and Pow. Oh, and that bridge would have been out, obviously, if we tried to go earlier, because obviously it was. And wow, just like that, our party breaks up again. You see, there's this virus, or curse, or sickness here in Pow, and Mia goes down like instantly with it. Jess volunteers to stay with her, but the boys must venture onward to a nearby cave in order to get a charmed item to cure the sickness from the villagers and their own party members. Hopefully it's not too hard without our healer and most powerful mage. This fun little boys-only side quest nets us both Nash's and Kyle's ultimate weapons, as it were. It's a dungeon with really huge screens, causing us a lot of steps. But the step route here now is pretty solid, as we'll see. Here, though, we only have Alex to cast our battle skip spells, and for some reason, on this particular run, and no others I've had before this, actually. Here, for some reason, Alex has lower MP than I want him to. Because we have to cast Little Litany twice and Calm Litany twice in here for battle skip purposes. At the end, ideally Alex should be sitting at 80 plus MP, but in this run, just didn't quite hit the mark. Not sure why, though. No time to think about that. We've got a sickness to restore. But here we also had to pick up an extra wind essence because Mia didn't get the spell we were looking for. She gets a warp spell named Psychotron. And now, since she didn't, we had to go way out of the way to get an extra wind essence. Just like we went way out of the way to get that Holy Flute. The Holy Flute definitely took way longer. The going out of your way for wind essence there, it takes barely any time, but I think future runs might be better served not grabbing that Holy Flute and just hoping the RNG for it isn't needed later in boss fights. But what you definitely need to grab every single time is Kyle's sword here. It's the Insane Sword. It's his best sword in the game, and it actually even has a secondary use to cast some sort of attack power-up spell on one character. I don't know how strong it is. There's no data on it, but a must-have weapon for Kyle. Unfortunately, we got this really damaging extra battle from the extra steps we took, having to burn more MP that Alex, in theory, I thought would get to keep. But just equipping the items here, one emergency heal, and we're off to the boss. The Inca god? So like the god of the ancient South American people, the Inca from Earth? Okay, I'll roll with it. We get lucky and the boss burns their first turn, moving closer before any of our party's in range. I'll bet you thought we were going to have Alex use his ADM key to attack this boss during the fight. And up till recently, that was what I did, but now I save it for something that's happening a little later. I actually found, you wouldn't think so, but it saves time just to mash through and have everyone attack this boss than to cast the way more damaging spells that Alex had. Time side by side, just mashing attack here was enough to get through this battle in the fastest way possible. 3 rounds, 2.5 rounds even. And that's even another one of the bosses that has a higher stat block in this version than in the original version. Still only 2.5 rounds of just attacking. Thanks in no small part to those elite weapons we just upgraded. Well, it looks like Power's in rough shape, but with a simple burn, seal, burn, everyone is cured, but Tempest is kicked out of his own village for saving the village because of some ancient pact or something that he swore to not go into that cave. Seems fair. Since he's gone, good thing we took his whip back before he left, right? And now, an even better thing to have. It's one of the most ridiculous items in the game. The pitcher of Mirage Potion. Thinking back to like way long ago, Alex suddenly teleports to Marriott. You see, he remembers we walked past this suspicious place earlier that looked an awful lot like the transmission spring that brought him into Vane. Just dried up. Luckily though, now we have a pitcher of Mirage Potion. Yeah, a pitcher of Mirage Potion. There we go. Just the pitcher. Just dump that pitcher in there, and you have a whole spring of water, and we're teleported into the dark cave. I'm sorry, it gets me every time. But at any rate, this is the secret that Nash found when he went with Zenobia. This is the gateway to the frontier. But first, we go through the dark cave, and I gotta just hope that the random battles work out fairly well. I know I'm almost always gonna get at least 2 random battles in here, and it would be nice if I could keep Alex healed, but this is another one of those deep not knowing where I am in the step route portions of the game, so I'm just really hoping it works out. I have a general idea of exactly what I need out of this segment and where I want to be, but yeah, it's going good, but it can fall apart. Any random battle I see can make it fall apart. Luckily, I made it all the way out of the dark cave with only 2 battles. I know I have to heal Alex. I'd like not to, but I know I have to. So I do it twice. I don't know where I am on random battles, but I know I just skipped ahead 2 more parts from those 2 little litanies. And against all odds, I had to take a couple extra steps there, but it worked out. This is the battle I wanted. It's 3 lizard guards and 2 bird brains. This is some of the newest tech in the road. I didn't do it perfectly, since asking Nal about this fight can actually save a second or 2, but this is awesome. Watch this. So the Dragon Bolts and the AI together take out everything except just 1 enemy, causing everyone to be able to run while Alex chills to get a quick 4 instant levels up. What a way to find ourselves all the way through, past into the frontier, now into the Black Dragon Cave. I used to actually try to get that battle twice, because sometimes it shows up back to back in the random encounter table. But I noticed when I did get it twice, with the extra 2 or 3 levels Alex would get, it really didn't matter in the end. It all kind of balanced out. But yeah, so I guess I didn't actually need the 80 MP earlier, but 40 would have done, and we used it for sure. So in another classic case of just go wherever you haven't gone, just head off to the next place, we found ourselves in what will serve as the western half of the Black Dragon Cave. Legend has it that the hero Dine sacrificed his life to stop the rampaging, crazed Black Dragon long ago. Their titanic tussle tore the Black Dragon Cave in two. So it ends up only taking us a single little litany to skip all the way through this part of the Black Dragon Cave with 0 encounters. It's really funny to me that Alex and friends just keep stumbling into plot progression. At least from a speedrunner's perspective. I mean, I don't think anyone in game tells you, go through the dark cave and go through the frontier and there you'll find the Black Dragon Cave. We just kind of went to the farthest area accessible all the time, you know? But in the here and now, we're down 3 floors in the cave and we interact with that NPC that always stands there, waiting for the day a hero would come and tell him that he's a hero. Because only then will the NPC grant that very hero with the hero's crest. What is that good for? Who can say, but what a sad, weird, lonely life that guy lives. Just standing in the cave. He's even there when we go by way later too, poor guy. So thankfully now we had Mia's warp spell Psychotron, and we also got a full MP heal from a shrine on the way across these weird plains here in the frontier. There is blue water, but there's also like all these pock marks. We can use the last one here to line up our battle skip, and then we go to Talon Mine, aka the other part of the step route that I seem to drop the most in runs. It's very finicky because it takes us through a dungeon where wall bumping is all too easy, then through a large section of overworld, and then through another long dungeon. But lately here, I've been casting my first battle skip a few steps early, but like only 2 or 3 maybe, because I wanted to sync up with my normal step route only 1 floor away from here. So it had to really be the minimum amount of steps. It looks like it worked here though. So that's definitely a part that would get me relaxed and like, okay, I'm not panicking anymore, because that I've lost a lot of, not runs, but that step route right there in that first battle. I'm almost positive too that not only is that first step a doozy as it were, but this is the dungeon with the most complicated battle skip step route of the whole run. So even I've nailed it all the way up until the final skip and then lost it there before too, so there are 9 different battle skips we do here in Talon Mine. So in theory, see, I stopped there. Was that the right place? Nope. Here it is. This is the right place. And it really, practice makes perfect, but in a run, there's no such thing as perfect. You just, you have to deal. Oh, but here, something important. It's Alex's mom and dad. Enslaved here to toil in the town. Oh, and there they go. Guess there's no time for that nice family reunion. Alex's bad son counter is at 3. Well, trying not to set a bad example myself, let me tie up a loose end that I mentioned before with a quick explanation of how the random encounters work in the game. After all my testing, I'm pretty sure this is how they work. I think the game is running 2 parallel encounter tables, kind of like a main one and a secondary one. The main one happens to be affected by casting Little Litany or using a Jasmine. The backup one happens to be affected by casting Calm Litany. This is why sometimes we see battles popping 2 times in 2 steps or 3 times in 3 steps. I could also never find a way through the longest dungeons without using both Calm and Little Litanies as battle skips, so that's what I think. Enough on that though, because we are doing our final equips pretty much like emergency stuff other than putting on Alex's new sword, and then we're ready to go to the only boss gauntlet of the game, starting now with Big Daddy Wolf Captain and his underlings. For this opening fight, we cast Dragon Bolt with Alex to make sure we take out 3 wolf guards right away. If we had great luck, we could try to push to only heal Alex's MP with a Starlight, but it's safer to use a Silverlight here to be ready for the next battle. We also skip using any Cascade Rings here because this battle is like really short. We have to prioritize healing here instead of the speed of the battle. Luckily, this run can survive someone dying in round 1 of the next fight. It has a bunch of times before, honestly, but this was the main reason why we equip emergency healing items before with Alex and Mia. Wolf Captain's AI here seems to just attack whichever party member is closest or doesn't have full HP. So if we fight the battle like this and heal at a specific pace, even though it may take a few seconds longer than, let's say, an ideal battle, it'll work out fine. And here is the perfect use of an extra calm herb. Since Alex heals himself here to full HP by himself, we get a fast battle and full HP for Alex going into the Dragon Tank fight. This fight with the extra 4 levels we got a few minutes ago on Alex goes a lot smoother than it used to go. Now, in fact, it's so smooth we can save a Cascade Ring, yet still make the damage cutoff we want and keep the fight short. In fact, using Cascade Litany with Jess, although it's single target, it increases the attack by 25 instead of the Cascade Ring 16, so it is worth using in certain situations to save time, just not as often as you might think. And not only did the party start the battle with safe HP, I also got lucky with turn order, and both Alex and Kyle get up next to the boss before they can take their turn. Tanking the Dragon Tank proper, we end this round with Mia using a Holy Flute, and there's pretty much just nothing that can go wrong after that. Having those extra 4 levels made it so we can cast Dragon Tier twice, which is really beneficial in a short battle like this. I guess it stands to reason that this is one of the bosses that comes back as a random enemy in one of the last dungeons in the game, but if you come in with low HP and this boss goes first, that can really mess up your run. Luckily, we had an easy fight this time, and it finishes pretty quickly. Thus, we make our way out of Talon Mine after a battle, of course. I could have probably routed to avoid this battle, but after boss fights, the step route kind of falls apart. That's the main reason the save and quits happen where they do. Once we go through a boss fight, after that, everything is mostly randomized again, because how the boss fight progresses also changes the encounters ahead. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into this sort of run. A lot of it is about managing the RNG outcomes, but there quickly comes a time where you're spinning too many plates, mixing too many metaphors, and can't quite square the circle without adding in some save and quit rerolls. Here in the Village of Mark, we get access to the Black Dragon Cave entrance here because we have the Hero's Crest. And there we have a full heal, grab Jess a new weapon and new armor, and you guessed it, save and quit. I have ahead of me here what is definitely the most nerve-wracking and easy to drop of any of the step routes in the game. Just so happens to come after having to do a ton of others, but this is the real Black Dragon Cave now, the final dragon's abode where Alex will find the final piece of dragon equipment. The enemies are deadly, the maze is deep, and if we drop step route here, it's gonna get ugly. I think at this point into the run, I had only nailed a step route to here and then continued to nail this one maybe 2 times before, maybe only 1. During the time of this run, I had also lost maybe 100 attempts since my last PB, to all manner of things, but mostly bronze dogs. And it was rare to make it all the way here on a good run. Still, movement's gotta be on point. Only the rehearsed wall bumping, keeping the extra bumps to a minimum, and you can't pass up some of the treasures here. I grabbed a Cascade Ring, and now I grab an Herb of Althena. I mean, what did I take a dozen extra steps for those 2 real bangers of extra items? Definite pickups, for sure. This third screen is really tight. It's so easy to just wall bump your way through here, but my step route here is trying to pull some miracles, so I zigzag as best I can in order to keep going forward without touching any walls and losing steps. There's also Kyle's insane armor on this screen, which would give him like 175% better defense, but it's just way off the path. We can't get it for him, unfortunately. But here we go. This is the moment of truth, room number 4 here. I had actually taken a couple extra steps, I know too, but how many? I actually pushed it 2 extra steps, and maybe 4 steps early from where I started my planned step route here, but it's going okay so far. I just squeaked it out. This one, there are so many skips in this one little section of this screen. But, you know, makes sense. Eventually you gotta hit the random battles. And that's 5 now within, what, 20 seconds? There's no way those were all gonna be insta-run battles. And then we're almost synced up to where we need to be on our original step route without those extra steps. We are. We're safe. Put on that Cascade Ring we got here, and we need to equip Jess's new stuff, of course, but then we load up Mia with Holy Flutes, because this is the new strat here for Black Dragon. I think it's a really good strat, but we're about to see how it plays out. And, it's time. Rise from your grave. So here we do battle with the very dragon that took Dyne down. Round 1 is almost always the same here. In a big boss fight, Alex does his highest level magic attack, Kyle is the berserker, Mia is the debuff mage, and Jess and Nash both use Cascade Rings. The only thing with this opening round is that sometimes the Black Dragon goes first and sometimes the party goes first. Luckily, this time Black Dragon went first, wasting its turn. That's pretty much the closest thing possible to ambushing a monster in this game. That makes this battle a lot more streamlined too. And that means I can start letting fly with the 3rd and 4th Cascade Ring in round 2. That's one of the newest strats in the run. Through testing, it looks like using 1 less ring at the Dragon Tank fight and 2 more here is the most efficient way of doing things. Which isn't to say that it makes this battle easier or anything, even with practice. That's because the Black Dragon's physical attacks hit our characters, and mind you, the ones that have the highest defense in the party, for 40 to 50% of their HP each hit. That's the reason why we've been grabbing any Holy Flute that we can get anywhere near us throughout this run. This is another battle that is very different between versions. In the English version, the Black Dragon's attack stat has been raised, and its HP has been boosted by well over 50%. But, if you notice, sometimes the dragon looks like it's about to do a breath attack, but then nothing happens. That's the trade-off, because in the Japanese version, that Black Dragon can use a super dangerous full party magic attack. This one we can pretty much track exactly what it's going to do every round. So we can make it through here as planned, in theory, as possible. Keeping safe, everyone surrounding, and healing every round we need to. It's over already. Probably pound for pound the scariest boss fight in the game. We made it through kinda safe.
Very impressive, Alex. You just killed the only remaining means of becoming a Dragon Master. You're making this way too easy. Now the goddess is completely unprotected. She's mine to control. The world is my oyster!
Ugh. So Alex went and killed another dragon. Kinda makes sense when Galleon points out that that's not the best plan for becoming a dragon master. Still, I wish there was some cutscene for that part, you know? Imagine Galleon stepping out of the shadows near the dragon bones, clapping and laughing. Anyways, we got the Black Dragon armor, best armor in the game. Thankfully, I mean it should be. Since we've been running headlong at breakneck pace this whole time, it happened without maybe even being too obvious, but Alex hasn't actually gotten any new armor since about 30 minutes into this run. So this armor nearly quadruples his armor's defense and also gives him plus 30 anti-magic defense. We warp out of the cave to the wrong exit of the cave. Yeah, that's not misprogrammed, I'm sure. But nothing a quick use of the white dragon's wings won't fix. We go back to Mark, and like super conveniently, like crazy conveniently, there just happens to be a new escapee from the city of Ruid, which is the city ahead of us on the frontier. But we would have been locked out if we didn't get the key that that girl just brought. So, thanks to the escapee from Ruid, we're now on the trail to, I guess, the seat of where all the bad guys are on the frontier, right? We've been everywhere else on the frontier. Now, just the tower in Ruid looms. But you could really see walking through especially this part. This is the part of the planet where Althena's light does not shine. Luckily, there's an MP shrine that works though, because we really needed that. So, guards there. Even here, we just walk face first into that guard. They just let us through. That's pretty nice. And we get an insta-run battle as soon as we get in. This is a part of the speedrun that I could never actually find a good save and quit route for. It just never made up the time. It's 35 seconds, and some of these battles, see, that one seems like a while because everyone moves, but like you could absorb 4 of those before a reset would really help, because you're gonna get 1 or 2 battles anyway after the reset. So you gotta pay the piper eventually on your step route, and this is the part of the game where you just, or at least I just, can't quite find that step route that works here. But, like I said, not super terrible because the encounters here usually add up to less than 35 seconds anyway. So, you know, including the insta-run and stuff, I'd say this was actually fairly, I guess a little better than average when it comes to encounter rate for climbing this tower. This mega project, as it were, where all of the ore from Talon Mine has been going to. You notice you come through that door backwards too? It's the only door in the game programmed like that. That must be a mistake. I guess they didn't do the flip around command in that one door. But anyway, we grab that last treasure here. We know we're gonna have to heal. Sometimes it's better even to use Herb of Althena here. First, we'll get to that after the menus. We need that Seed of Vigor we just got, and I finally am using the items on Kyle that I meant to use before the Brainiac fight. We also chose to heal with Little Litany because it's mostly Kyle that's hurt here. I'm just gonna save that Herb of Althena for when I need it later. That's Tabin. He sends out the bosses here for what might be the weirdest strats for any boss fight in the run. I tested a lot of different methods of getting through this battle quickest, but eventually came up with something mostly like this fight. Granted, when I made up the test route for this fight, Nash had gotten a bit luckier during that run, because he was rolling with Thundershot 2 then, instead of just Thundershot 1, like this run. But, after thorough theory crafting, weirdly enough, it's fastest just to have everyone else step back and just let Alex and Nash unload here. But, since I don't have Thundershot 2, I'm gonna eventually have to improvise and figure out how to smoothly finish everything off while keeping this battle as quick as possible. Now, I made the mistake of going off notes here, and I sent Jess in to heal Alex that round. She has her AI on still, so she actually tries to run into the middle of the battle. I should have just healed with Mia, because Mia never has her AI on, but we need some heals, because even though Alex has the best armor to tank with in the game, he is still taking like 150 HP damage every round. If I had been super unlucky there, Alex could have died, but things worked out this time, and the enemies ended up blocking each other out, so the third one couldn't get his fatal attack off. At this point in theory, I know this should be the final round, but I know I'm missing some Thundershot 2 damage, so I kind of just released the hounds. But luckily, we just finish him off like that. But another thing that's been finished is this project. It seems Tabin's tower is empty now. Galleon's mobile fortress that has been created for him here has just taken off, as it were. So, unfortunately, even in this rush, we can't warp out of this dungeon. This is another one of those inexplicable dungeons that you just cannot warp out of. That said, an insta-run here, after an insta-run, when it was our first encounter on the way out, I don't know if I remember seeing something that good, that low of an encounter rate on the way out, maybe ever. And it is catching up with me a little bit here, but it's still a really, at least at the worst, average exit, and this exit definitely is faster than a 35-second reset could allow for. That's the main reason why I didn't make save and quits for this one dungeon. Everything else, down to a T. But this dungeon, it just, couldn't do it. Didn't make sense anywhere. Something that might also not make sense to you guys viewing this is like this menu. No other runner did it like this before I routed like this, but I'm taking off Dine's sword, I'm taking off all of Jess's armor, I'm you know, giving everybody their cascade rings, but that's not a big deal. But why? Now I'm going to, of all places, lighten? It's something only I do, but I believe it's smart, and for two reasons. Here, not only can you buy Herbs of Althena, but the shop is right near the entrance to town. It takes like 1.5 seconds from the entrance to get in here. So, I think it's the best shop to go to. Plus, we pick up an Herb of Althena there, and we're already back to storyline progression. Going to Talon Mine, seeing it's flattened. My whole village might be gone underneath the tracks of this gigantic monstrosity coming towards us right now.
Now, Goddess Althena, heed my command. Turn your pure light to blazing fire and decimate all who oppose me!
He's flattened Talon Mine and slaved the goddess, but a frontal assault just won't work. Alex and his party are blasted out of commission. Alex himself lying in a coma for 7 days before waking on the floor of Rez's Thieves' Bazaar. And thus, my reason to sell everything of value before charging the grindery. This way, I can buy Seeds of Vigor right when I wake up, instead of having to warp back to Reza later and travel the like 8 screens it takes to get back here, any other time in the run. Yeah, I don't know exactly when the shops change over, but I've never seen the Seed of Vigor for sale before this point in the game. And anyways, right now, with Alex just waking up, his party still split up. They don't believe in themselves because they just got destroyed when they tried to do something against Galleon. But with you awake again, they're willing to try it one more time. A guilt trip from the girls is all it takes for the other boys to join. And, oh, who's this? It's that flashy stranger Lake from earlier. But what? He was actually Dragon Master Dine this whole time. No way! If you hadn't guessed it, our part-time mentor and part-time party member from earlier was actually the depowered former Dragon Master Dine. What's more, our flying machine is ready to take us towards the Tower of the Goddess. So, it's Zenobia again. But here to save the day, once a hero, always a hero. Dine goes toe-to-toe with Zenobia, buying the party the time they need to get off to the skies. And even through hands turned to stone, Dine is able to hold Zenobia one last moment. Wow, it's a good thing our blimp landed right there, huh? What a small landing pad. It's really important to turn off Alex's AI for this battle, and to equip at least 2 full HP heals and 2 full MP heals. And to use a full MP heal on Alex. Because he has his final him solo battle coming up next. And this time he actually had to have a little litany here, which I don't remember ever having to deal. But yeah, at any rate, 1 save and quit here at the Tower of Althena to re-roll the random encounter RNG, of course. If I didn't do this one, if I got maybe even 2 battles in this tower, that would put me over the 35 seconds. Some of the battles here, there is 1 quick variation, but almost every battle here takes a long time. And it also actually does a lot of damage, too. This way, though, I can set myself up with an easy-to-remember step route through this tower that gets us through with 0 encounters. In theory, I could push it all the way to the wall on the 3rd floor coming up here, but you'll see I stop a little shy because, just like in Talon Mine earlier, just being a little safe. I planned for like almost max on my step routes, so stopping 1 or 2 steps early would never hurt. Again, in an X pattern, climbing the tower up and down. This is another no warp out tower. It's pretty easy to make our way up here to the Dragon Angels. And it's time for the fight. The name of the game for this fight, well, at first is just to kind of run away a little, but after that, our true hero starts to come through as he blasts away with Dragon Quake. Alex is fighting for his life against the Dragon Angels to prove he's worthy of becoming the next Dragon Master, a trial that surely his hero dying before has undertaken. Now, and only with the help of the best HP and MP healing items in the game, will Alex stand a chance. He'll stand his ground alone, and maybe even re-killing the Black Dragon wasn't such a bad idea after all. Because that gave Alex Dragon Quake, and that's what he needs to make it through this battle here. And actually, oh my goodness, he's about to die. He's about to die. Alright, got that heal up. And Alex, for one last time, cast Dragon Quake to have a supreme victory. He did it, folks. He will become his destiny. Dragon Master Alex.
Oh, you are indeed the brave one. You have proven the purity in your heart. Step forward and become your destiny, Dragon Master Alex.
Dragon Master Alex? But I thought all the dragons were dead. Oh, no, it was a white dragon. I should have known. We get 1 final free full party heal here, and we descend the tower. If we were to try to use a white dragon wings to warp out of here, or even like a wind essence, of course we couldn't, for reasons. But I actually end up getting really lucky on the descent here. This proves, like with the descent actually in Tabin's tower, sometimes you just end up getting really lucky with how you end your battles. Everything connects to everything else, and having the battle I had against the Dragon Angels here, I only got 1 fight, and it was the quickest fight on the exit. Very smooth. We make sure to equip all of Alex's dragon equipment, and then we're off to Maribia. First matter of business here, we need to have a quick hang with our boy Ramus. He took that 1,500 silver he got from the Dragon Diamond and parlayed it all the way to where he's running a shop at Dross's old jewelry shop. Now that's victory. And he also gives us whatever items we want free of charge here, which is such a cool, like, real world sort of thing. Another one from this game that I totally appreciate. I don't know if I've seen that actually in any other JRPG, but it makes sense, right? Hey, can we have some healing herbs to go literally save the planet right now? That'll be 2,300 silver, please. You know? More realistic this way. It's way more realistic when we're coming up to this hulking steampunk grindery with our Dragon Master armor on and getting ready for the save and quit. Very, real world implications, you know? But anyways, yeah, as I mentioned, this is the grindery. It doesn't just have a cool name, it's the multi-floor, gigantic maze, dungeon, labyrinth that Galleon had crafted for him to, like, be a mobile oppression palace of sorts. He rolls around the whole planet, crushing cities and wiping out different spots of the map that he chooses. And he's sitting at the top of here. We were only able to break in because we had all of the dragon equipment equipped. If we didn't, we actually would have, like, game overed. There's this, like, false game over cutscene that plays, but anyway. This is a very, like, do what you can with a maze sort of thing. This is just, there are pipes everywhere, and it's like a traditional maze, but with just pipes instead of black and white lines. I think it's a really good final dungeon, but I'm sure people that don't know their ways through here would get really annoyed after a while. These sections aren't so bad. The big pipe sections, I guess, they're very straightforward, but the sections with the yellow piping, as you saw, so far we've only done one battle skip, and we've gone through with no encounters through 2 whole floors now. So, luckily, I guess the random encounters here aren't so bad, like density-wise, but imagine getting lost in this maze real bad, and then just getting slammed with, like, top-level random battles over and over. It could deplete you fast, I'm sure. But we've depleted our goodwill, too. We need to save and quit here, or else we're just gonna get crazy battles. There is a way not to do this final save and quit, but it's super complicated, and it only saves you, like, 5 seconds in the end. You have to do, like, 7 or 8, like, really randomly placed battle skips, and it's just, I haven't bothered learning it in, like I said, 5 seconds. And it's right at the end. Now I'm using this last time to, like, shake out my hands, get a little bit of calm breathing going, because this now is the last section of the speedrun. And I may have gotten that 30-second battle outside of Lighten, but other than that, I didn't make any legitimate mistakes, and the RNG's been fairly good, honestly. And now that I've hit this final battle skip, that's the final battle skip. I did it. I gotta run this deep, and I finally hit all the battle skips. This is like, I'm not even nervous anymore, because I know I've planned out the last boss fights very well at this point, and now that the step routes are done, the hardest part of the run, in my opinion, it's gonna be alright. I don't want to say I can't lose here, but it feels like that once you get through a run and you're done with your step routes and you've hit, like, you saw, I don't even know how many, but, like, let's say 60 battle skips. I'd say that's somewhere in the ballpark. 60 to 75 battle skips. And we hit, like, 98, 99% of them. But back to the matter at hand. To stop this place, we're going to need to battle 4 fire elementals, the living engine of the grindery itself. Starting off with a new spell, Alex's best attack spell, which he just got from becoming a Dragon Master, Holy Light. Kyle goes off notes and casts Sidestep on himself, not terrible. Mia, of course, drops the boss's defense with D-Protect. And Nash and Jess used their Cascade Ring, or I was supposed to, but accidentally had Jess flee here. Oh well, every run this long eventually has a few flubs. Not the biggest deal, really. And there we have Holy Light, a spell that actually insta-kills normal enemies, but also instantly exits battle and doesn't award experience or silver. Still, it can't be beat for endgame boss fights. This is where I make a common mistake. I take my eye off of Alex's MP. Alex needs to get a Seed of Vigor every 2 rounds, like almost every fight. It's easy to just blow by your second round without setting up the item usage, so a good thing you want to... So now we have to go around without Alex being able to cast Holy Light, which slows things down, but he can still do damage. I actually plotted out the ideal amount of Seeds of Vigor and Herbs of Althena, and technically I come in here way over prepared, but there is a lot of RNG we have to deal with here, and Alex eats Seeds of Vigor, but they are a must because we need to keep casting Holy Light every round with Alex this whole endgame. Kyle has a spell later that is better, but it's like he'd have to be like 30 levels higher or something crazy to get it. Look at that. It can hit for 400 damage for multiple hits. Nothing we get anywhere else in this run can beat. So we just Holy Light and Holy Light and Holy Light, but there is a catch to it in this battle. Because we need, I would say we want Alex to end this battle with 120 or more MP. Oh, Mia got a hit in, that's so funny. But one extra round, you know, there were some flubs in this battle, but 5 extra attacks, no biggie. And we're through. More than that, the grindery has been put out of commission. So I guess it could still attack Maribia, but other than that, we're good. A huge flub in that battle actually was I never put Alex's AI back on, so I did it right after that battle. But speaking of battles, now we're gonna have to fight 24 different 24 Lagoon Goons. That's right, that's gotta be one of the best names in the game, huh? 24 Lagoon Goons in a row. That's why we gave Alex 120 MP, so he can just Dragon Bolt as fast as he can. And we're through 2 of the fights. In theory, they can keep coming forever though, because now we're into fight number 3, and I mean, this might be the only time in the game I've also seen 8 enemies at once, so that's the thing too. But luckily for us, we have friends in the grindery right now, like deep in the grindery. What's up, Tempest and Fresca? They actually come in to stop the Lagoon Goons, I guess. And we move forward to the final dungeon of the game, Galleon's Palace. Another dungeon, like Damon's Spire, where you have to go out of your way to get a key to unlock a room at the top of the tower that you could have just ran to instead. Let me tell you, one of the yuckiest, squirmiest feelings I've had running this game was losing the correct pathway through this final dungeon. I remember, I'm not sure which one, but one of my earlier PBs, I was really close. Well, it wasn't a PB, because I was really close to getting another PB, which would have been another world record, but I got lost in this dungeon. My notes weren't good enough, and I went the wrong way, and it's really hard to recover if you do that here. You see, like there, I paused. Sometimes you gotta pause and look at your notes. Listen, how much has been memorized to get us to this point? Boss fights, items, silver, shops, treasure chests. It's only human to not memorize this entire game. So, looking at the notes every once in a while, when we're in the final dungeon, when I've definitely lost a run by not looking at my notes before, it's a no-brainer. We got the key though. That means we're like 3 screens away from the end of random battles. This clearly, obviously, is another place where I could have save and quit, but like, the random battles here add up to like 36 seconds, so this way is just as good. And wow, Luna. Let's just grab her and leave. We can forget about Galleon, right? Man, how lucky of us that she's just right here. Come on, Luna. Let's figure our way out of here, huh? Oh, right. Oh, right. I thought she looked a little Zenobia-y. Zenobia's shapeshift? Oh my tentacle goodness, what is that? Zenobia's true form? She was just mimicking a human the whole time? Ugh. Okay, yeah, I can imagine that. That's so creepy. At any rate, we open up with the traditional way, except with Kyle sidestepping here. On purpose this time, though, because we can be very unlucky in round 1 here, and Kyle can actually die without sidestep. He doesn't, but he does get hit with a daze status effect here, and Kyle getting hit with that is particularly dangerous, because it can make him turn his sword on his own party. This time, ultimately, it just keeps Kyle from acting in round 2, but it can be a really scary spell in this battle. Zenobia luckily seems to only cast it like 5 or 10% of the time. It's rare to have to deal with it at all. Zenobia is actually really vulnerable to physical attacks as well, so I want to try to swarm her as fast as possible with as many of my physical attacks as possible, because with her new claw, Jess actually does really decent damage in this fight, along with Alex and Kyle, with her physical attack. But doesn't always go exactly to script, because Jess falls. It's been a little bit of a weird fight, because she started off with that daze attack. Mia actually ends up dying. So this fight probably got me a little nervous, but I knew her HP pool isn't actually incredibly high. So I ended up getting one final Seed of Vigor off too. So we end this battle with Alex at full MP at least, and maybe a level higher than normal or something, because both the girls went down there. At any rate, it's time for the final battle. So we're free as Zenobia. At this point, we're at the final 2 screens of the entire game. We're at the nexus of this whole planet's destiny, about to break right here, right now. It may be nerve-wracking, but we've trained for this, and we are ready. We have the items, we have the levels, and we have the strats to make it through. Just have to fight well and believe. He's dead ahead.
So, little Alex became a Dragon Master. How endearing. You've come to fight for the soul of your dear Luna, but you're too late. I'm already in control of the goddess. Face it, you don't stand a chance, Dragon Boy.
the final battle. The Magic Emperor, who for some reason doesn't cast any magic in this battle. And if he does, he must be scripted to wait at least half a dozen or more rounds before casting, but yeah, that's why I renamed the split Physical Attack Emperor. Quirky, but still very dangerous and deadly to Kyle round 1 if he does not sidestep. Sometimes it's the right thing to do, just not every battle. And also, really strangely, I mess up the first round with Jess here. Again, I had her flee, and it puts her kind of far from attacking Galleon, which isn't ideal, but we also want to do like we did with the Black Dragon and completely swarm Galleon with the 3 characters here. So each round, he's attacking 3 different people, spreading the damage out in an easy-to-heal way. But what could be easier to heal than having Herbs of Althena on lock? After one of those, Alex took his entire round of attacks by himself. So, I mean, Galleon has Herbs of Althena sitting around in this very room. He knew we could have grabbed him. Did he really think that we didn't stand a chance? I mean, 5-on-1. And he came off thinking he was all powerful. Oh. You miscalculated this time, buddy, because you're dealing with Dragon Master Alex and friends. We have everything we need to completely out-damage pace him, and he's already moving back. And he is done. That's it. We did it. Maybe we over-leveled. Those 4 extra levels, you know, maybe we over-leveled. Not to sound too excited about things or anything, but I think we crushed it, guys. I think we really did crush it. That we made that final boss fight look easy. And I mean, I guess I'll prepare here just in case, but I think we can probably talk Althena and Luna down without another fight or anything. I think we're really at the end of our arc here. We're at the end of the rainbow, and it's gonna be nice to see Luna again here and really just take her back to Berg and get back to life as normal. Maybe we'll do that festival thing we talked about, you know?
Infidels! How dare you invade my inner sanctum? Prepare to die!
Well, that's odd. For some reason, Luna's still under Galleon's control. But how could that even be possible? We injured and knocked him down in the last room, and he had blood there, so, I mean, how would it even... Oh, no! What in the world? One-shotted. They tanked 5 Dragon Quakes. Who could have possibly...
I'm not finished with you yet. You'll never make it out of here alive, Dragon Boy. Cower in fear as I demonstrate my true power.
What? You mean the last boss wasn't the last boss in a JRPG? And can we just give it up for John Truitt's voice acting? Truly an exemplary voice actor of this era in video games. Legendary. Here, we have what I lovingly call Flamehead Galleon. He's a burning core of raw RNG and fear, because sometimes he can go first and wipe out anyone other than Alex or Kyle in the first turn. I think I was so shook that I rethought my whole life during this round 1 party menu. Thing is, on this run, I had had recent attempts die to this boss fight for like the first time ever. I always used to breathe through until I hit sub 245. Now this fight feels like someone recently turned the difficulty up, and I was suddenly finding it harder than ever before to make it through. I did end up having Kyle go first round 1 though, so he unleashed my power barrier strat. That's why Galleon Sword Attack missed Nash. This is the only place in the speedrun this item is used, and what it does is grant every party member immunity from one single physical attack during battle. Only a handful of attempts before this one, I died in this battle for what I thought was a completely impossible battle outcome. At first, I was really convinced what happened was impossible. It was like cheating or something. But then I thought about it, I got an idea, and I checked my run history, and it turns out that a hidden property of Herbs of Althena are they don't just cure you full HP, they cure status effects, I assume, because that includes, it wipes the status effect of having a power barrier up. So if I use Herbs of Althena to heal in this battle, I lose my anti-attack buff. So it's really strategic here, especially now because, like I said before, I just kind of blitzed through, but I haven't been able to win that way anymore. I just haven't. So now this fight is a lot more strategic. We did use an Herb of Althena here, but it was after a lot of deliberation. We made it so deep in the fight. We're at round like 5 or 6 at this point. So if people start dropping off at this point, you know, I mean, it is the final boss fight, so it's bound to happen, I really think. Luckily, Galleon went after Alex that round too. So we got another round bot for us with all of our characters alive. He must have been hit with so many D-protects from Mia at this point. He must be at base defense. He actually goes after Kyle here, so that's another free round. So like, other than like just getting through this fight with Blitz, really good RNG, he's let everyone live a while at least here. It really is like this final boss has gotten harder for me lately though. I can't express that enough. Like, I'd never died to the final boss before this last 100 attempts from my last PB. But Mia did there, and that almost always happens in this battle. It usually comes down to just Galleon and Alex, honestly. But we Herb of Althena at the right time, and we got it here, guys. That was the real last boss. No more fakesies, I promise. There's only one thing left to do. Alex has to brave the lightning, face the goddess, and convince the girl within to come back to him. Plus, he made a promise. They're gonna play this festival together. So in this version of the game, even if you're level 99 with max Herbs of Althena, if you manage to reach the end of the Crystal Pathway without Alex playing his harp, the final lightning bolt deals 100% damage, and just like that, it's back to the Zenobia fight, or worse yet, a final way to kill your run completely. It's the walk to glory here, and when we do the harp strat though, it's one of the few runs where you know you're about to world record for a minute before it happens. The journey of speedrunning one of my favorite games of all time is over. What a run. I am getting the feels like it's just happening again right now, recording this commentary. It was such a journey. I thought I would be happy with just getting world record, But then, when I got it by like 9 seconds or something, after like 7 months of really trying for it, I was like, 9 seconds? Is that really worth all of this work? So I did a lot more work. Probably around double, but that got me here. And now, with this run,
It's really you.
20 minutes ahead of anyone else on the leaderboard.
Trapped in a terrible nightmare.
It
was
looks
dark and I was
pretty
so
too.
cold and alone.
There's not a bunch of extra stuff. I hit all the step routes.
Not even for a minute.
Oh man.
Alex.
Yeah, I am getting the feels again actually. I feel like Fresca looks right now. Lunar the Silver Star. Very cool game. It is a long RPG speedrun, but the RNG in this sort of game makes it really interesting, because you can plot it out to this sort of degree that I have, breaking it into different segments as it were, and really limit the RNG, and then you get a game where you just have to have really good boss fight sense, crazy movement. It's kind of almost like a platformer in some degree now because of the step route. But it takes a lot of skills to get through this game. There are no crits, there are no boss bypasses, so it's kind of like, it feels like a traditional-ish sort of run, if that makes any sense. There's no sneaky ways through, at any rate. So, doing that, originally just under 3 hours, now under 240. I feel like this game is pointing here at me and thanking me. Feels good. It really does feel good. I think there's totally more potential here. If anyone ever comes to get this world record, it's out there. You just have to grind for it. Maybe someday I'll get a sub 235. I don't think the door for sub 230 is open though. But for now, sub 240 was a triumph for me personally. And it feels so good to have this recorded. But it's been a pleasure. Thanks for listening, guys. Keep going fast and play some Lunar, huh?
Oops. Too long.